Before we begin, I want you to think about something simple. Have you ever worked really hard on something, poured your heart into it, and then felt like no one truly saw what you went through? Now imagine that feeling, but on a global stage, where the music you helped create is heard by millions. But your story, your pain, your voice, almost no one hears it. Today's story is about that voice finally speaking out. And when it did, it shook an entire industry. Behind every big song, there's usually a name you don't hear. Not the singer, not the performer, but the person who helped shape the sound, the feeling, the emotion. In the world of K-pop, where perfection is expected, those hidden creators play a huge role. And one of those creators is now at the center of a storm. A songwriter, a producer, someone who helped build hits that traveled across the world. But now, she's telling a very different story. One that's not about success, but about what it may have cost her. Let's start at the beginning. She didn't enter the industry as a superstar. She entered as a teenager. Young, talented, driven. The kind of person who didn't just love music, but understood it. Very quickly, people started noticing her work. She wasn't just writing songs. She was creating moments. Songs that people felt. Songs that climbed charts. Songs that stayed in people's hearts. Over time, she became part of something bigger, helping shape the sound of one of the most recognized girl groups in the world. Her work contributed to songs that millions of fans danced to, sang along with, and connected to emotionally. From powerful anthems to confident, bold tracks, her fingerprints were everywhere. And on the outside, it looked like a dream career. But sometimes, what we see isn't the full picture. Years later, small things started catching people's attention. Subtle changes, unfollows on social media, short clips, lyrics that didn't feel random. Fans began to notice lines that seemed personal, not just creative, but possibly directed. And that's when curiosity turned into speculation. People started asking, was everything really okay behind the scenes? Or was there something deeper going on? At one point, she shared a version of a song she worked on, including lyrics that were never officially released. And those lyrics, they didn't feel neutral. Some lines hinted at frustration. Others sounded like they were aimed at someone specific. Mentions of money, recognition being overlooked. To some listeners, it sounded like confidence. To others, it sounded like someone speaking through their pain. And suddenly, people weren't just listening to music anymore. They were trying to read between the lines. After spending years connected to a major company, she made a decision. She left. And when she spoke about it, she didn't sound sad. She sounded relieved. Free. Like someone who had been holding their breath for a long time and could finally exhale. But not everyone understood that reaction. Some people said, "You were successful, you were credited, you benefited from it." Others said, "Maybe we don't know everything she went through." And that difference in perspective would only grow bigger. Then came the moment that shifted everything. She shared a story, not in a loud, dramatic way, but carefully, thoughtfully, piece by piece. She described being very young, around 18, when she was brought into a situation that felt like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. She was told to wait, to trust the process, to hold off on her own dreams because something bigger was coming. So she did. She waited. And during that time, she worked. She wrote songs. She helped others succeed. She even helped shape trainees, people who would later become major stars. Years passed. And the promise, still not fulfilled. Then her story took a much heavier turn. She shared that at one point, after years of waiting, she was finally offered something she had been hopping for. A real opportunity. A contract But at that exact moment, her life changed. She found out she was pregnant. And according to her account, that's when everything shifted. She claims she was told she had to make a choice. Her future in the industry, or her pregnancy. That keeping the baby would mean losing everything she had worked toward. Now pause for a second. Because regardless of where you stand, that's a serious claim. A deeply personal one. And one that naturally sparked strong reactions. According to her, she made her decision. She walked away. Not just from the opportunity, but from the system itself. She went back home, tried to move on, tried to rebuild. But she says the story didn't end there. Time passed. Silence. Then suddenly, a call. She was told that work she had done earlier had been used in a song. A song that became huge. A song that helped launch something massive. And just like that, she was pulled back into the orbit again. From there, she continued contributing. Writing. Producing. Helping create hits. But according to her, the core issue never changed. No solid support. No clear path forward. No fulfillment of what had been promised years ago. So eventually, she changed her approach. Instead of relying on the system, she stepped outside of it. She began building her career independently, on her own terms. Once her story went public, the reaction was immediate and divided. Some people believed her. They said, "This isn't surprising. The industry has a history of stories like this." Others were skeptical. They questioned timelines, contracts, details that didn't fully align with what they knew. And then there were those in the middle. People who said, "We don't know the full truth, but the claims are serious enough to take seriously." One of the most debated parts of her story was her suggestion that others around her may have known what was happening. Even possibly the artists she worked with. This led to even more discussion, because many pointed out something important. At the time, those artists were very young, still trainees, still building their own careers, still under the same system. So the question became, could they have done anything? Or were they also navigating a system they didn't control? And that's where things stand right now. No official responses. No confirmed details beyond her account. Just a story. A powerful one. A complicated one. And one that raises bigger questions than it answers. Because this isn't just about one person, or one company, or one group. It's about the structure of an entire industry. An industry where dreams are big, opportunities are rare, and power isn't always balanced. Where young talent often has to trust systems they don't fully understand yet. And where success on the outside doesn't always reflect what's happening inside. So now it comes back to you. What do you believe? Do you think her story reflects something real? Or do you think there are missing pieces we haven't seen yet? Maybe the truth sits somewhere in between. But one thing is certain. Stories like this remind us that behind every hit song, there are real people, real decisions, real consequences. If this made you think, if it changed how you see the music you listen to, take a moment and share your thoughts below. Because conversations like this matter. And if you want more deep stories from behind the scenes of the industry, make sure you stay connected. Because sometimes, the loudest music comes from the quietest stories.